Hello and welcome back to Goswick Lane. If you are getting valuable information and content, and this is helping you in your real estate journey, short-term journey, long-term journey, and you want to hear more of content like this, hit those buttons at the bottom, like, share, subscribe, and we'll keep putting good stuff out for you and walking through things that we've been through, mistakes, wins, all those good things. So in the last episode, we talked about your first investment property.
Right.
We walked through numbers up to today, how that can benefit you today, how that's added to your portfolio, other properties and deals that you've done. I want to go back to the first property that we did.
Okay.
It's pretty comical.
Let's hear it.
Okay. So we're going to walk through what we did and the mistakes that we made. First property we bought, we had no idea about real estate, rehab, investing, nothing. How to deal with banks, nothing. And I look back now and I think, man, there's so much that I didn't know that I know now that I take for granted. First off, we were fortunate too. On your first deal, you got it owner financed. On our first deal, we got it owner financed as well. We bought a property in Elysian Fields for $35,000.
It's a good deal.
Well, it would have been if we knew what to do with it. The owner financed it, but it was on like a 2 or 3 year note. Our intention was to flip that. So the first mistake that we made is that we weren't sold on what we were going to do with the property. We kind of hem-hawed and said, I think we're going to flip it, but maybe we'll rent it, and maybe we'll owner finance it, and maybe we'll sell it outright. But we didn't lock in. You can lock in and have plan B, C, and D, I think, but we weren't sold or solid on anything, and I think that was our first mistake, because if we were going to flip it, we needed to know exactly what we were going to put in the rehab and what we were going to get at the sale.
Right.
We didn't know. We had an idea of what and we're basing this information on what? Nothing.
You didn't have any knowledge of it.
We didn't have any knowledge. I didn't know you at the time. Like, it would have been just an easy phone call to call you, pull comps. Hey, what can we get for this thing? And work backwards, right? So if we bought the property for $35 and Genty said we could sell it for $120 and we wanted to make $20 or $25 off of the deal,
well, then you know how much you have to spend.
Right. Put $65 in it, sell it, and move on to the next one. We didn't know that.
Shane didn't do that.
We didn't. We did not. So how did we finance the rehab on this deal? We initially projected, I believe, about $65,000 is what we were going to put into it. Again, based on no experience and information. One of the partners involved had a little bit of experience, but not much. And we leaned on one of the other partners, and then my brother was in this deal as well. We kind of just leaned on him, which was not the right thing to do because he didn't know either. We didn't reach outside of ourselves. And that's the first thing, or one of the first mistakes, is that we should have reached out to people that we knew in the real estate industry.
Right.
And asked them.
You really have to.
You have to. Don't do what we did. We needed money for rehab. We didn't know anything about dealing with banks like we do now, and getting rehab money and financing that into the deal. And
so let me ask you this. You owner financed it, but you did not have the rehab money.
We did not. We just...
Or knew how you were going to get it.
Correct.
Okay.
No idea. So my brother had come across this thing online to where you could get this program to where you could get multiple credit cards, zero interest credit cards in business name and personal name. So his job, Brandon's job, that's my brother, his job was to get the rehab money. That was all his involvement in the deal. We found the deal. It was a relative, like, cousins of cousins deal. They owner financed it for 2 or 3 years. So our note was like $1,200-$1,400 a month.
Yeah, because you're not paying it on a 20-year AM. You're paying it on a actual 2 to 3 year.
Right.
No.
So it was high. It was $36,000, but high dollar payment. The intention, obviously, with that was to flip it so that if we can make that note and cover it, then we could flip it and get out of it moving down the road. So Brandon comes up with this credit card deal and has access to like $100,000 on credit cards at zero interest. Some of them 6 months, some of them 9 months, some of them 12 months. If you asked him about it now, he would say it was a giant pain to make that work. But that's like, we didn't know any different. We didn't know you could just go to a bank and get a construction loan.
Right.
So we rock and roll forward. Our initial projections were to put about 60, 65 grand in this thing where we have less than 100 grand in the property. It's a nice little, at the end of a street, secluded, little pier and beam house. Is about 1,200 square feet with a shop that was like 800 square feet. Nice little plot of land, but it needed a lot of work. It was actually, I believe that this house was a house that the fire company or the fire station used for a burn house or something.
Oh, so it was a training house.
Maybe. I can't remember, but it was moved to this property. Might have been added on to a little bit. Just think of an old shotgun house. That's what it was. And so we started rehab, and the second or third big mistake that we made was we overestimated our ability to do construction. We went into this thing thinking, well, we can do the majority of the labor.
That's the worst mistake ever.
It was terrible. And it was also about 45 minutes from our house. And my other business partner, who had the most construction knowledge, again, not much, but more than us, lived an hour and 15 minutes from there.
Right.
So, and we also had other businesses going on, so we would make this big plan to go out and make a push and work on it for 4 or 5 days in a row and literally just get frustrated and not get much done. So we went back and forth of us trying to do stuff and then hiring somebody and them not working out, and us trying to do stuff and getting frustrated and then hiring somebody and them not working out, and it, just this terrible cycle. And so we ended up spending not 60 or 65 grand, but we probably ended up spending about 90.
Whoa.
Yeah. So we're in 125.
Still not bad.
No, not bad. But at the time, 125 was close to the top of the market for that house.
Right. So you have to rent it.
We had to change the game. We finally got the thing done, and a rehab that should have taken 3 months took us 9.5 months.
Oh, wow.
So we're paying on the note, losing money there, stressing over getting these credit cards paid off, wondering what the heck we're going to do when we get this thing done because we're over budget and we can't sell it. We tried to sell it, owner finance, couldn't do it. So then you would go into rent, and we're fortunate enough to get, I believe, $1,200 a month on rent for it. So it covered our note. We're making a couple $100 a month cash flow, maybe $250, somewhere around there. Very fortunate to be able to do that. It was a nice place, and it was nice when we got done with it. There were still mistakes, but it took us forever.
Well, and so do you still own that property?
No, we sold that about a year and a half, 2 years ago.
Did you make a profit on it?
We did, but if you count the mistakes that we made and how long it took, it was almost a break-even deal.
So
we made like 15 or 20 grand on it when we actually sold it.
So how did you get the credit card debt paid for?
We went to a bank and just kind of fumbled through it, and we were done with the rehab and got it appraised, and I think we still had to, based on the appraisal that the bank gave us, I think we still had to put like 5 or 10 of our own money
into the deal. But you got the debt paid.
We got the debt paid. Yeah, so we refinanced and we held that. We had a renter for 2 years, and then we sold it. We sold it for around 150, 155. At the time, we owed about 110, but total we had probably.
Well, and you had real estate fees and things like that.
Right. So, I think we walked away from the deal with maybe 30.
If you're walking away from a deal, and that's what I tell people, if you're walking away from a deal and you're making $5,000, $7,000, $10,000, whatever it is, $2,000 on your first deal, it's not really about the money that you make. It is, but it's about the knowledge that you gain. Because if you're doing it on your own and you don't have a mentor or anybody to help you, then that's you're learning and making mistakes, and that's how you're going to learn.
Going back, what I would have done is called people, just random people that are in the real estate industry that I knew. My uncle has probably done 30 renovations. Called him, got him involved, give him a percentage of the deal just to have his expertise. Get a good GC, follow that GC around, meet him out at the property, watch him do things, how it's supposed to be done, get some references for that GC, let them do their thing. Do that before the purchase of the property.
Well, and I have people that call me all the time, and they ask me, would you mind, looking at this deal or giving me your opinion? And I have no problem helping, giving an opinion, because the last thing that I want anybody to do is go out, buy a property, and fail.
Yeah. They don't have to. If they use the resources, they'll call you.
And I'm not charging them anything.
Yeah. I do this all the time with you.
You use me to sell real estate, so I know that there's some reward behind that.
Yeah.
Most of the people that call me and ask me for advice, some of them use me for real estate, some of them don't.
Yeah.
That's okay. But it's to have the knowledge and mistakes that we've made, it helps.
Yeah.
The newbies.
And I'm happy to, if there's somebody out there looking at something in Longview, which is the area that I know, or, if you're looking at a property and you need some rough rehab numbers before you pull the trigger, that's something that you and I usually do that together.
Right.
I'll bring him in on something he may be selling me or something I'm buying off market and say, this is everything that I would want to do to this property. Confirm my numbers. I'll make my numbers first. Where do you come in, Genty? If I was at 65 and you're at 85, does the deal still work? Because I'm going to go with a higher number.
Right. You have to go with a higher number because something is going to come up.
Yeah. How many times have you come in under budget?
Never.
I've
always gone over. And that I want to put a good product in the streets if I'm doing the flip. So does my brother. Some of the flips he does and some of the flips that I do. And we both want to genuinely leave something better than we found it by a landslide. And doing that, we're helping the community. We're helping get somebody in a nice property.
Yeah.
And we're retaining a great name to where we're not selling junk.
Yeah. It's true. And if people know, like if you're flipping a property and people know you're doing it, it's not going to be as hard to sell if you built that reputation.
If they know that we've done it, I've had people say it's good. We don't cut corners.
Yeah.
We don't have to.
Now there's ways that you can save money without cutting corners.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, you don't have to go with quartz whenever the granite looks perfect.
Right.
You know, so you can save money there. You don't have to tile both showers. You can just tile the master and put a plastic insert where the kids are going to be getting bathed.
Yeah.
Or
also depends on the location too, right?
Right. I mean, it depends on location. It depends on what you're looking at. It depends on what your price point needs to be and what you have in the budget.
If you don't know your numbers though, on the front end, you don't know what you can do and what you can't do.
If you don't know numbers, you're walking around blind.
It's
that simple and unfortunate that a lot of people do it. I think that people just get so excited and they think that this business and being a realtor and all that is easy. It is not. It is hard. It takes a lot of time, a lot of patience, and it's very rewarding.
Yeah,
if you work at it.
And remember that every yes that you say is a no to something else.
Correct.
And every no that you say is a possible yes to something else. There's a deal that came up that off market that Genty brought me a couple weeks ago that I ran the numbers, looked at the property 2 or 3 times, and we were $10,000 apart on the deal was $85,000 purchase, but the rehab is going to be like $160 to $180.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's going to need a lot of rehab.
Yeah. And so $10,000 for me, it was going to be a flip. $10,000 for me doesn't sound like a lot, but it's the difference between a $35,000 profit and a $25,000. If we go a little bit over budget, it's the difference between a $30,000 profit and a $20,000 profit. And as big of a rehab as it is, and as much time as I'm going to put into managing this, that number for me needed to be 30,000.
Yeah, I think the general consensus of most investors, if they're doing it alone, they want to make at least 20. 30 is a sweet spot.
Mm-hmm.
If you make anything north of 30, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Our hub is $25,000 to $35,000 is what you'll make on a flip.
Yeah. And it should be for the time you're going to put into it.
Well, you think about it. You buy a property, a month to close. You rehab it, 3 months to close. You put it on the market, 2 months on market, and another month to close. You're almost at a year.
Yeah. You're 6 months minimum typically.
So how much do you want to make in a year? And that's
right.
That's what I tell people. It's not just going to be now. Me, whenever I'm doing it, it's a month to close. I want that reno to be 45 days, a month on market, a month to close.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to cut the timelines, because if I cut the timelines, then I can cut the interest rate, I can cut the insurance, I can cut the taxes.
Yeah. If you go, say you're doing a rehab, you need to get what's the term for the insurance that you need to get? I'll think of it. You know what I'm talking about? It's like a 6-month term insurance.
Builder's risk policy.
Builder's risk policy, usually about $600 to $1,100 for a 6-month policy. A lot of companies don't offer prorating for that. So if you go over that 6 months,
you got to pay it again.
You got to pay it again, and then that interest, if you're at a 7 or 8% construction loan or rehab loan, it could be $600 to $1,500 a month that you're paying on that interest. So every month that you can shave off of that, we're still doing the property.
You got electric, you got water, you got there's a lot of expenses. Most people have a dumpster expense. There's a lot of expenses that you have that a lot of people don't put in their spreadsheet.
Yeah.
I remember one time I didn't put any hardware in mine.
Okay.
Doorknobs,
you're about
kitchen,
$3,000,
right? And so you make one simple mistake, it could cost you $1,000, $10,000.
Yeah, we had. Trying to think, there was one specific property that we did that we forgot to put in the dumpster.
Yeah,
and it was like $5,000.
Yep.
I mean, guys, your dumpster fee around here is typically, if you get a big dumpster, it's typically $3 to $5 a day for it to sit on your property, and then around $700 to $900 to dump it.
Mm-hmm. So
you fill it up. Say you may have a property that has tons of trash in it. You fill it up 4 times. That's $2,800 to $3,000,
right?
Plus the rental of a month or two. So you're talking over $3,000 just for dumpster fees,
right?
If you forget that, that's coming out of your pocket. If you're flipping, it's just an extra expense. Like if you're turning it into a rental, that may be $3,000. That it may be $3,000 you don't have,
right?
And so be careful and be prepared for all those expenses that's going to go into a rehab.
We're coming up on time, and before it ends, I want to tell people that we did get this platform on Google Music.
Apple, right?
Apple is it's waiting on a confirmation.
Okay.
So I'm waiting on iTunes to confirm some things that took almost a whole day.
It's a pain. Are we on Pandora yet?
No, iHeartRadio.
Okay.
And then we're working on 2 other platforms.
So will it be on Spotify, Pandora, and Apple at some point?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Just to give people more, like you said, like I said, more avenues to, if they're sitting in the car, they can listen to it and not have to be watching a video.
What's the name on? It's not Goswick Lane on the podcast platforms, is it?
We can put it in the below for the people that are following on YouTube, but it's going to be the Big Head Realtor Longview.
Okay, cool.
And we'll put links in there where you can click on that.
All right, so we'll get that link. We'll put it down below so you can check that out and listen while you're driving, while you're working out at the gym, wherever you are. Just pop your AirPods in and listen about real estate.
If there's something y'all want to hear,
if
there's a scenario, always put it in the comments, DM me, DM Shane.
Yeah.
We're going to have an appraiser and a couple different other vendors that are in this real estate business that help me get things done. And then Shane and I can talk investments till we're blue in the face.
Yeah.
So really, this is just to help new investors, future investors, and really just about helping people. It takes time out of both of our days, but we feel like if we're helping people, we're doing something good.
I like it, man. It's good to sit here. I'm honestly ready for an appraiser to sit in this room with us because we've both had so many issues with appraisals.
That's probably going to be a 2-part, and these segments, we've been trying to keep them under 20 minutes. We're at 20 right now, but those will probably be 30-minute segments.
Yeah, they might be. A lot of good stuff coming your way. Appreciate you guys being here. Remember, love God, love others, and let your work reflect that. We'll catch you on the next one.